Several footballers have played matches with injuries, and I bet you had no idea. From players like Fabregas, who scored a decisive penalty despite having a broken leg, to the legendary Beckenbauer, who played for 120 minutes with a dislocated shoulder. These are 10 players who played through severe injuries. First is Tottenham attacker Heung-min Son, who showed everyone what it means to play for the country's badge. Heung-min Son showed everyone that playing for one's country is more important than one's own body when he decided to stay on the pitch and continue playing even though he hurt his leg. In a FIFA World Cup qualifying match against Singapore, South Korea won the game by 5-0, but more than the scoreline, it was Son who took the headline. After scoring an absolute screamer in the first half, many feared he had sustained an injury that might rule him out for a long time after he called to receive treatment midway through the second half. He appeared to be in pain, clutching his ankle and moving in discomfort, but Son got up and played the entire match anyway. During the post-match interview, Son said, "If I can't run anymore, then I can't do anything about it, but when I can run, I have to give 100% for the team. I can't give up just because I'm hurt." That's patriotism at its highest. The last time I saw something like that was when Beckenbauer famously played a World Cup semi-final with a dislocated shoulder. 9. Franz Beckenbauer. Many people remember the famous 1970s World Cup semi-finals match between West Germany and Italy, not because there was a record-breaking 5 goals in extra time, but because of this guy, Franz Beckenbauer. Italy had taken an 8th-minute lead in the match, and then, in the 70th minute, Beckenbauer dislocated his shoulder. But West Germany had used up its 2 permitted substitutions, which meant that if he left the pitch, his team would have to play with 10 men. So, what did this guy do? He stayed on the pitch, used a sling to pack his dislocated shoulder, and continued playing through the injury. West Germany equalized in the 90th minute, which meant the match went on into extra time. Beckenbauer still didn't go off the pitch. He stayed on and played the full 120 minutes of the game. What surprised many was that this dude was more than just on the pitch to make Germany have the full 11. He was dictating play, making runs, putting in tackles, and playing ridiculous passes, even with a dislocated shoulder carried on a sling. That is wild. Maybe it's crazier than the time Valencia basically played with just one eye. 8. Valencia. Valencia was widely known as a very durable player for Manchester United. He famously started his Manchester United career playing as a right winger before settling for right back during the twilight of his career. That is how available he was for Manchester United. Then, in 2014, against Olympiacos, the former winger/defender had a head clash with an Olympiacos player, contesting for an aerial ball in the 15th minute. Valencia went down immediately, clutching his head, and after treatment he came out looking like this. But that bump in the eye didn't stop the guy from putting in an inspiring performance. Despite his right eye almost being completely shut, his performance in that match was outstanding until he was substituted in the 77th minute. But at least Valencia came off at one point in the match. When De Ligt suffered an injury, he played as though he was on drugs, so the coach had to leave him on until the end. De Ligt's time at Juventus didn't go exactly as anyone would have expected, of a young player who cost more than 67 million British pounds. His performance was below the heavy expectations everyone placed on him following the metronomic performances they saw of him during his time at Ajax. But in 2019, against Atlanta, De Ligt showed everyone why he cost that much. De Ligt suffered a dislocated shoulder during the game after clattering into an Atlanta player following a tackle. But that didn't deter him from marshalling the Atlanta defense. At the end of the match, he had won the most aerial duels, tackles and interceptions, all with a dislocated shoulder. I'm sure Juventus would have wished De Ligt could have had a dislocated shoulder throughout the season if it meant he would perform like that, just like Arsenal would have wished Fabregas always had a fractured leg. 6. Cesc Fabregas. Arsenal showed the stuff they were made of in 2010 when European giants Barcelona came around London and returned with a loss to an inspired Arsenal. Before the game, Arsenal midfielder Cesc Fabregas fractured his leg in the previous match against Birmingham City. But that didn't stop him from playing against Barcelona, and it sure as hell didn't stop him from putting up a remarkable performance. He had a fantastic individual performance and capped it off by scoring a brilliant penalty, even though his leg was probably killing him. Fabregas suffered the injury before the match, but what would you say about this next dude, who had broken his leg but still played anyway? 5. Stuart Pearce. In 1999, playing for West Ham against Watford in the Premier League, Stuart Pearce broke his leg in the first half, which certainly meant the end of the match for regular players. But then there's a reason this guy's called the Psycho. This guy defied all odds by walking onto the pitch with his teammates again to play the second half. Do you know what's even crazier? Pearce broke that same leg 6 months later and still played through the match. This left his coach, Harry Redknapp, befuddled and short of explanation. You'd think Stuart Pearce was high on drugs, but that was not true. He was living up to his name, the Psycho. Maybe we could extend that nickname to Vincent Kompany. In 2014, former Manchester City defender Vincent Kompany suffered a broken nose, a mild concussion, and a fractured eye socket, but that didn't stop him from playing a whopping 60 minutes of football after these injuries. Kompany is widely known for incessant injuries that regularly kept him on the sidelines, but he can be unplayable on his days. While playing for his home country, Belgium, against Serbia, Kompany clattered into the Serbian goalkeeper, picked himself up and continued playing. It wasn't until after the match that Kompany was taken to the hospital, and tests revealed that he had suffered a broken nose, a mild concussion and a fractured eye socket. That's crazy! The last time something as wild as that happened was when Paul Ince had blood covering his shirt. 3. Paul Ince. England needed a draw against Italy to qualify for the 1998 World Cup. During the game, Ince contested an aerial duel and received a blow to the head, leaving him with a bad cut. After being wrapped in bandages, Ince returned to the pitch quickly to continue playing. But because he kept putting his body on the line many times, his bandage began to loosen and blood started to come out of his head, dripping onto his shirt. At the end of the match, Ince had his shirt covered in blood, but the job was done as the much-needed point was achieved and England qualified for the World Cup. It seems that anything related to the World Cup has a habit of igniting players' passion. It was the same with Maradona when he played through 4 matches with a swollen ankle. In the 1990 World Cup, Diego Maradona played 4 matches with an injury to his left ankle. He had suffered this injury during a group stage match against Romania. He played through that match with the injured ankle, and even though it didn't heal in time, Maradona continued playing with it anyway. It was later revealed that Maradona trained barefooted following the injury to get used to being kicked in the leg. Want to know what's crazier than playing 4 straight games with an injury? Playing an entire season with a severe injury. 1. Bastian Schweinsteiger. In 2014, before Bayern Munich's Super Cup clash with Chelsea, Schweinsteiger suffered an ankle sprain injury. It was supposed to rule him out for the Chelsea clash. However, he was past fit and featured in the game, and from then on, he never looked back. After the end of the 2013-14 season, Bayern's medical team revealed that the ankle problem never left Schweinsteiger, and he continued to play every match with that problem because he didn't want to miss out on any crucial time that season. Because of this, Schweinsteiger waited until the end of the season before getting surgery for the persistent ankle problem. But you know what's even crazier? Bastian Schweinsteiger followed Scorezone and is a real fan. Most of these players are subscribers. Want to be as cool as them? Hit the subscribe button and you'll be welcome to the team. Cheers!